Good day. My name is Amanda Blase, and today I'm going to be presenting to you the writing principles, writing as a process approach. So starting off our presentations, we're going to start off with background. And so it is the NSC grades are, it stipulates the policy on the curriculum and assessments in the schooling sector. A single comprehensive CAP document, a single comprehensive CAP document developed for each subject to replace subject statements, learning program, and subject assessment guidelines in grade R to 12. Okay, so moving on to our writing processes. So in our writing process, we have about 6 stages, of which are the planning, pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, conferencing, and finally the publication of the writing piece. So all in all, this is the writing process. Let's get into each stage and what it requires. The first stage being the planning stage, where it involves a lot of brainstorming, mind maps, and basically you writing down a list of things, of the contents that you might want in your writing. And the second stage is drafting, basically putting down ideas and maybe the register, what tone you want to use, what message you want to convey within your writing, and also considering your audience. Okay, the next stage being revising. So when you're revising, you basically just looking to add or rewrite any of the things within your content, basically reconstructing whatever your piece of writing or the content of your writing is. So reconstructing it, adding some things, maybe taking away from your previous stage when you were drafting. Okay, so conferencing, this is the part where maybe your peer or your teacher would be reading back what you've written, basically back to you, so that you have an idea of how it might sound like to maybe yourself or that person that might be reading it for you. Editing or proofreading, it's just doing final touch-ups and looking for any errors and just polishing your entire writing piece. Then finally, publication. This consists of basically, this is the actual final stage where you get to share whatever you've written with the recipient, or via means of a book, or via the internet, maybe it's a blog, or making use of any of those mediums. Okay, so the next stage, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be presenting the differences between an essay and a transactional writing. Okay, so what are the main differences between transactional writing and an essay? So with the transactional, when you're writing for transactional, it's writing to get things done. It's needed mainly for after school. So these are just some of the things that you would be using after school. Okay, and examples of this, it's business letters, flyers, brochures, any of those type of things. And more specifically within the working environment, where you'd be typing reports, writing business letters, taking minutes, maybe in a meeting, and doing a memorandum for staff. It's things of that nature, and it's more of a formal writing. So formal writing tends to have more of a purpose. Okay, your essay writing. Essay writing consists of task words and keywords. Task word is basically what to do with content, and keywords are what the topic is about. And then after you've gathered both your keywords and the task, it basically directs the writer on what to do. So thereafter, the next stage would be for the writer to gather the information. Okay, so your resources could be notes, or maybe using the internet for your research to gather all that information that you need to construct your essay. Okay, and this essays are generally within school level. So that's one of the main differences between a transactional writing and essay writing. Okay, moving on. An example of a transactional writing. So on the right hand side of the screen, you can see a informal letter. It's a friendly letter. Okay, so with an informal letter, these are the basics. So when you're starting off with your pre-writing, you're going to be writing things like, you're going to have to first establish why you're writing the letter. Who are you writing the letter to? Why? And what is the main message? Okay, so this goes towards your planning, and thereafter your drafting. Write down the main points of the message, and use a friendly tone as well. Alright, so as you can see here, in an informal letter, you will have things such as your date there at the top right hand corner, and then just underneath you'll have your date. And then because it's an informal letter, you will use words like dear, whoever the letter is addressed to, Jimmy, for example, just like the example here on the letter. And then you'll begin the letter by first asking questions like, hello, how are you? That sort of tone to basically introduce. It's basically an introduction to your letter before you actually get to the main message. So that is your introduction. You'll say things like, hi, how are you? And then you carry on with whatever your main message is. Okay, so moving on to the next stage, which is revise. You look at the letter, and as we spoke about it, you add the date. You delete or rewrite anything in the message that just to construct your message in a way that is more conducive to you. Proofreading. Proofreading is basically checking for errors and just seeing those grammatical errors in the message. Oh, and lastly, you will add things like your sincerely or kind regards or best wishes or love when ending off the letter. And that's how you would conclude a friendly letter by first using lastly using words like that. For example, here in this letter it says love, and then the person has their own name there at the bottom. Okay, and so for the conferencing stage, you would basically read it out to somebody or have that other person read it out to you, so that you can kind of get a feel of how it sounds. Okay, and then the last stage would be, excuse me, obviously placing the letter in an envelope and posting it to your friend, and that would be the last stage of it. Okay, so moving on to our essay example. Our essay example is of a narrative one, narrative essay. Okay, so this would consist of, in your planning stage, you think about what the essay will be about. For example, it should be about an experience or a personal story. And just write the theme. The theme is basically a directive that will give the writer a directive on what to write. Okay, on what the content should actually be about. And on your drafting, you follow the theme of the story. For example, a personal narrative essays are written in the first person. So in a lot of your contents, you would be referring to I or me, or using words like that. So you are always using first person. The essay will always be written in first person if it's a narrative essay, and then you build on your details from there on. Okay, the following stage, revise. So you reorganize, review, modify the essay, add more detailed descriptive words to make your essay come alive for the reader. To make it more interesting, you will have to add more detail and descriptive words. For proofreading, it's basically, again, improving those grammar errors, editing and improving the style, making your essay more clearer to the reader, okay, as you are writing it. For example, here we have an example here on the right hand side of the slide. As you can see, the essay is a narrative, so it has a beginning, middle, and an end. Okay, that is very important in a narrative essay, for it to have an introduction, the middle of the story, and a conclusion. Okay, so once you've gone through all these other previous stages, now you'll need to have a friend or a peer or teacher, as I mentioned before, to read it out to you, so you can sort of hear what your essay sounds like from a different perspective, or get their perspective on what they think of your narrative essay. Okay, and then finally publishing. This is more or less the same as the conferencing stage. It's where you get to share with your peers, maybe your class, present it, in front of the class or to your teacher, and basically get a feedback from them. All right. So the benefits of process writing approaches. So one of the few benefits are writing is perceived as a genuine activity. So and learners' writing skills develop. Another added benefit is it's learner-centered, so the learner is responsible for their own work. Moving on to the challenges of process writing approach. Learners typically choose to write creative writing and don't explore all the other types of writing. So it kind of puts them at a disadvantage because they don't get to develop their skills in those other types of writings. So not all writing follows the same procedure as well. So the conclusion. So as the audience, I have 3 questions for you. What makes a transactional writing authentic? The second question would be, what are the different types of writing? And do you think the process approach overall improves writing in all its different types, whether it be a narrative, descriptive, or transactional? Do you think the process approach overall improves writing? Thank you so much for listening into my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.